a absolutely critical and essential part of Team Guam and our success over in the Solomon Islands was our medical staff. One of them, a physical therapist, Dr. Kaipo Sotelo, who, by the way, had the best, I want to say this, gold medalist himself as far as social media for the crazy Instagram stories that he was producing every single day. So, Doc, welcome to the show, man. And thank you again for just chronicling, your experience and from your unique perspective on Team Guam.
Well, I'm glad to be on here. I appreciate you reaching out. Yeah, it was an honor to be this close to the games and being to see our athletes. As a former Guam athlete for the basketball and soccer youth programs, it was kind of cool to be on this side of things and to have like basically a front row seat and to get to document all that. That was a real honor, and I was very happy to be there.
You literally kept athletes in the game, and I can only imagine how many cajillion things that were going through your mind at any one moment, because you've got different types of sports, different types of environments and conditions, and possibly injuries that you have to keep an eye on. Were you also in charge of like nutrition and hydration and that stuff?
So hydration was a really, really big thing. I saw on one index, it felt like it was north of 100, especially because of just all the concrete that was just built. It just trapped all this heat, and so our
Oh,
tennis players especially got a lot of that hydration as a big thing. And then the basketball indoor venue, while it had a huge fan, it was still super super hot. So a lot of our players were cramping up and all that. So hydration was a really really big thing.
and that's right. It was
So
only the three of you,
injuries
right?
look
Dr. Raina Adelson,
yeah,
yourself, and then Dr. Morgan Brigsby.
yes, that's correct.
That's crazy.
And we really it was interesting because we got to deal with different injuries in different aspects. So injuries kind of manifest themselves different. But a good example of someone who twisted their ankle and came back was Jamar White.
Yep.
Jamar, he twisted his ankle first game. We did some rehab on him, got him back on the court, and he's able to play the rest of the tournament. Um, Outside of basketball, gold medalist Danny Lorenas, he in one of his games, he literally had to call Morgan onto the court because his bicep just wasn't firing. He couldn't get his arm past this point. And so we literally had we treated him that night, and by the next day he was competing. So um, our goal for treatment and management of injuries at this point is just literally to get them back competing, because long term health, they can kind of grit, they can figure those things out after the games, but they need to compete the next day for the country, for the island, for their teammates. So that was our job, is to kind of support them. It's fascinating because different levels of different injuries can manifest different. Not every ankle turn is the same. And so you just have to make sure you are calm in a situation and make it a team decision. Thankfully, I had a great team to lean back on, and Coach Calvin was fully understanding and made the calls that we needed to be.
But how do you actually determine where you
Yes.
go and and what you pay attention to?
So Morgan and I just kind of rely on Dr. Adelson's kind of guidance, because she was our sort of like our team captain, like wherever we're needed. And so we would discuss, all right, the next day's schedule was usually set in the evening. So we would talk or be in a group chat or just say, all right, do you want to go here? Do you want to go here? Va'a was a very, very far venue. So normally one person would head out to Va'a. The sports village was where athletics, tennis, taekwondo, swimming, those were sort of set. So one person could go there. Usually we'd maybe go in pairs there so we can split off and check on all the teams. What was nice is that we, like with some sports, we didn't have to worry quite as much. Like for example, swimming, right? Swimming was one that we could check on before and after to make sure everyone was functioning well. But in the middle of competition, the heats are so short, right? So we're not like super, super worried right there. But afterwards, we would say, "Hey, how are things going?"
That
And
makes
we have to
sense.
treat some of the swimmers there. So, in some of the more high intensity sports, I think like basketball, right? Basketball is 5-on-5. It's the most it's the biggest team sport that we had. We had two or three of us there pretty much at all times, because, for example, that example that we talked about with Jamar rolling his ankle, then Takumi immediately rolling his ankle. We need all hands on deck to make sure that each of them were taken care of. Um, Basketball was like kind of like the big event where all of us would kind of meet. And what's nice is that it was usually in the evenings, so we could all, after we had dispersed, we could come back together and function as a team there. That was sort of how it rolled, and I mean, it tended to work out because then we were able to get each other's backs and help out where we could.
How many hours a day were you pulling there?
Well, it depended. I think earliest days we'd leave like around 6:30. And our latest days we'd get in around 11 something.
What did you as a professional take away that you can now apply to your own practice, and hopefully going forward with the Olympics or the next specific games or the mini games and everything, you can continue to contribute
Yeah.
in Team Guam in that way?
I love Guam. I love being, it's like being out here in the East Coast in Greenville, South Carolina, of all places. I love repping this stuff. Um, it's near and dear to my heart, and I made a promise to Dr. Cruz years ago when I was shadowing him at his clinic. I promised that like I would come back and help where I could once I got the knowledge. Even if I didn't move back, I would at least come and help and use the knowledge that I learned out here to help the island. And after this Pacific Games, I just want to do more. I just want to help more of the, whether that's mini games, micro games, Olympics, however that may be. I'm open, and I've made that very clear to the teams. I would love to continue helping. Love doing it. Would love to do it again. And yeah, looking forward to getting that next opportunity.